Not your average tabletop. Woohoo!
Welcome to Not Your Average Tabletop. I'm Zach,
I'm Mac.
And I'm Pepper.
and today we're giving our first impressions of.
Urubamba Valley.
Yes, this was a game a game I got for my birthday. Brother and sister-in-law got it for me when we were at Gen Con. This is an interesting one that had, I would say, like no reviews, no content on it. So, pretty much all we had to go on was kind of the little demonstration they did at at their booth there, and it looked like an interesting game where you're kind of planting and harvesting, doing kind of all that kind of stuff. But it also seemed like kind of an interactive game, especially since it was a 3 to 5 player only game. So, we got the chance to try this out at the full 5 player count, and we'll just kind of give our initial thoughts of it.
Sure.
So, we'll start with the guy that won by a landslide.
Yeah, about 20 points.
Out of a 60-point score.
Yeah. So I am the expert. And going into this, I saw that the board kind of has different layers, different levels that you're placing tiles on, and scoring points for how big of a set of those types of tiles that you place it with. Or I guess you don't score points. You earn
Harvest
points that move you along a track that you can choose when you want to harvest and claim your rewards from how far you are on that track. But yeah, just seeing the initial levels of the game, it's kind of awkward talking with this huge box in front of me. But,
Here, I'll take
But it covers Michaela.
there we go. But yeah, when I initially saw that, I'm like, okay, this looks like an interesting gimmick, but is it really going to work? Or is it just going to be just kind of cute, but maybe will it be too light or something like that? That's what gimmicks like these make me worry about a little bit. But after playing, I thought that it worked very well. I don't know if it had to be multiple layers.
Yeah.
But I think it does. It adds to the table presence of it, and I think it has a great table presence. And I love the strategy of playing those tiles. And at a 5-player game, there's a lot of turns between you, so there's a lot of chance that something could get cut off before your next turn. So you really have to make each turn count. I love that. I love there's small turns, like it's plant one thing or just harvest and get your coins. And then again, with higher player count, it feels like a lot is happening between your turns, so you really have to plan them out good. I really, really enjoyed this game.
Yeah. I would agree. I felt like within like the first 2 turns, it was like pretty clear that like, yeah, you have to make your turns count. And so because when you do like the purchase action, it's not just purchasing a seed or whatever. You want to be able to purchase a tile. You want to be able to purchase technology. You want to be able to purchase seeds. You can buy anything you can afford. And so when you're doing the purchase, you want to have that cash on hand so you can grab. But with 5 people around the table, it's probably going to be gone if you don't get it. So there's a really tight balance of like, how soon do I harvest? How do I plant this first? Do I buy right now, even though I maybe couldn't get everything I want, but I could maybe get 2 things that I want, so I felt like that was really interesting. I did hold out probably longer than I should have multiple times for that reason, where I was like, if I can just get 2 more turns and whatever, but you have to be paying attention to where others are at. A lot of times you'll see people at the same like harvest level as you or whatever, and so it kind of like, it felt like it was going in like this round of like, he's harvesting, now I'll harvest, and then like we'll plant and he'll plant, like, so you could kind of see like this round and round thing going on, but it was like you were in it and it was moving, and it wasn't moving like super slow either, so it was going, so.
Yeah, and I guess for my thoughts on it, I think it did start off feeling like, oh, this is slow, it's going to take a while. But then, once it starts getting going and you start, really making money, it starts going really quickly. There's that part to it where, there's that weird piece where you want to plant, but then when some of these fields or whatever get so large, you have to also be able to harvest before you can plant again. Otherwise, you're really not gaining anything from doing that. So there's kind of that weird pull from that. But yeah, this is a very, very interactive game. Yeah, kind of like you said, I wasn't sure if this would maybe be a simpler game, almost too simple, and not have quite as interesting of decisions. I'm like, is that really going to work? But yeah, as we played it, I was like, okay, so now I can start to see what's going on here, and this is a little more to this game than I had originally imagined. But yeah, it's very interactive, so if you don't like interactive games where people can potentially cut you off, and I think you have to do that, even though it seems bad. Like, we let the chilies get out of control, and then all of a sudden, I mean, that sets up certain players. If you don't have the technology to plant chilies, you have no reason to help them, or, I mean, you want to cut them off then if possible, because it's like, well, I'm never going to, not never going to be able to, but I'd have to pay for chili technology and get chili seeds to add to that. And I don't currently have that, so should I just cut these people off that I'm pretty confident have chili seeds? Probably.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's kind of that take-that-y sort of feel to it, but it's not. I think it's just part of the game, and you're going to have it happen to you possibly and stuff. And you just have to sometimes just have to get in on the big stuff and get those technology.
What they did, I think, was really probably a good move on their part, which is why they did it. But you can plant up to 4 types of seeds if you can buy the technology to get that far. But there are 5 types of seeds. So even if you get, your full range, there's going to be one you can't plant. And if you take the wrong technology and everyone else at the table takes the potato and you don't, you're not going to be able to get in on that grouping, and so you're kind of like the last one out. So I think that piece is really interesting too, because I went with like purple early on because it was out there, so I was like, we'll try it. Nothing came out, and so it wasn't a wasted one. Yes, it was a wasted one because I probably should have done chilies or green beans. You just never know what is going to be the commodity.
Yeah. But yeah, I think it still worked though, because I was the purple player, so each player has one of those. If you have a full 5-player count, each player has kind of a seed color associated with them that they start with. I was the purple one, so I was trying to plant first to bait people into, because I knew I could already, as long as I could get more purple seeds, I could plant more. So I was hoping to get people to join it, but then the purple seed just never came out, which is another thing that, being the first game, I didn't really know how, that would actually play out, but that kind of, it became almost meaningless to you. And since I was the first one to plant, it was a small group, so I only actually got 1 harvest point for that. Whereas now I'm allowing other people to, like you got to just straight up do a 2 harvest points for that, which is really nice. And I did a similar thing with potatoes to cut off a different type that I didn't have the technology for, but I started the group of potatoes, so I also got the minimum benefit for that, helping other people.
And then the potatoes just went wild.
They did go wild. So it's kind of that thing of who's gonna, if all of a sudden a lot of people maybe have potatoes, but no one's really planted one yet, it's like, who's gonna plant that first? Because you only have so much space to hold seeds, and if you're the first one, you're not necessarily gonna have it pay off. But maybe you have 3 potato seeds, and you're like, I'm just trying to bait people into actually planting potatoes, so then when it comes back around to me, I can have an even bigger one.
I love that, and how it can kind of even create some teams throughout the game, like me and Zachary, not you, your brother. Don't want to just say your brother, and then people might get very confused. But yeah, so we were just like full-on peppers once that took off. No one ever really joined in my corn.
I did, but we couldn't get it going. You were too involved in the pepper situation.
Too involved in the pepper potato game.
I'm pepper. What? It's my loyalties.
Didn't even care about his own kern.
But yeah, and the potatoes. Everyone was in the potatoes, and that was a late game. I didn't know I had a potato so early. But then you never planted yours, because then you went for his purple, his lavender, or whatever it was, and I'm like, come on, someone plant the freaking potato. I have this.
I was like, I'm not planting the potato.
For so long, but it ended up paying off. But yeah, and even the tiles that you can get, they have so many different abilities. They get more and more powerful and expensive as the game goes on, although they're not all entirely expensive later on, but you get some great endgame points there, as well as abilities, which when you initially read them and they say, one-time use, like take another action after you do this, and it's like, that doesn't seem that good, but like we said, the turns are so few in this game that if you can get 2 back to back, like I think you planted twice in a row, and that helped you cut off an area as well as just score a ton of harvest points, which those are just looking even more valuable after my first play.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah, so I would say overall, I'm initially thinking this one's going to be at about an 8, maybe could rise. I'd be interested to see how this plays at the kind of 3-player count, because that's the minimum of this one. I don't know if it'll feel the same or if it'll feel a lot different. I'm not 100% sure. Because we're still filling in the same amount of board. It'll just be less players to do that, so it'll be interesting to see how it actually feels with that. But yeah, initially 8, possibly rising.
I think I'll give it an 8.5. So that's probably the victory speaking. Jumping it up like another half point from there. But I really like it. I just love a little bit of sneakery of cutting things off and expanding your areas there, and I don't know, it's just a lot more clever than I thought it would be.
Yeah, I'd probably give it about a 7 right now. I thought it was really good. I enjoyed the playthrough of it. I don't know. There's nothing like lacking in the game. It's just it's not really my style of game, if that makes sense. And so I think it is a really good game for what it is, and I do look forward to playing it again.
Nice. But yeah, otherwise we've got an unboxing video going up alongside this, so you can check that out if you want a little bit of a closer look at kind of the components and what goes in there. But otherwise, we hope to see you on the video, and as always, don't forget to
keep on nibbling
on our content.